let me say a special good morning to Grenada, the mainland, our sister out, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, good morning, and welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Tuesday, the 28th day of February. Good morning to one and all. Let me say good morning also to our social media platforms, Facebook, our YouTube channel, good morning. Those of you who are viewing via GBN TV, welcome to another edition, once again, of To The Point. Tuesdays are usually themed Opposition Tuesday, and this morning I have Mr. Winston Garraway representing the New National Party, and he's the party's Labour Relations Officer, and we have lots to chat about within the next hour. So sit back, relax, and of course your input is also welcome when we do, of course, allow you to do so. It's To The Point. Let's go over and say good morning to Mr. Garraway. Good morning to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, GT. I am doing good, and it's good to be here, and it's good to be I'm part of the GBN network this morning. To the point. It's always a pleasure.
All right.
The New National Party always take it as a pleasure to interact with the people and to provide information that will help in decision making in the country.
All right. Well, welcome to the point, I should say also. Welcome. Well, this morning we can have an open discussion with lots that's happening, issues that are of concern to your organization. That's the New National Party, which is the opposition party here in Grenada. And this morning, one of the conversation we want to get into that is seems to be a bit of a concern to you from the New National Party perspective is the issue of labor issues in Grenada. Now, when we say labor issues in Grenada, it's a wide topic to open up. You know, there's lots of issues going on. What's the New National Party concern when it comes to labor issues in Grenada? If you could expand on that for me just a wee bit.
Oh, certainly. But just before I go into this, I just wanted to say that as a party, we do expect that the government will be responsive to the needs of the people of the country. And every patriotic, loving Grenadian will want the government to do well, because as the government do well, it will ensure that it provides the basic support for the people of this country. It will also ensure that the economy grows, and in so doing, employment will be generated, and people can generally have a good life in this period that we're in this season, as we will say in the church, this season of economic hardship, problems globally, which is affecting us in this country. So when we come to labor issues, we are very concerned, because if a man isn't able to work and to earn, he will have a problem to provide for his family. And the government will have to ensure that they create the enabling environment that people will be employed. So we are concerned when we saw the state of hopelessness in that many people were fired from their jobs. We look at Carriacou, for example. So many young people were removed who've been working in that position for probably over 15 years. Over 10 years. And it was not because of a lack of competencies. No. It was because of the perceived political preference of these people. So in my view, I coined this as political cleansing. And a government that embark and such will not in any way be able to, one, heal whatever rift there is in the country, and two, will not generally provide for the entire nation, because right there and there we see a move towards stifling or taking away bread from people whom you perceive do not support you, and that is wrong, that is inhumane, and we will call on the administration. We are calling on the administration to fix this. We are all Grenadians. And based on the whole ambit of democracy, not everyone will support you.
Let me just interject on you. You mentioned something there that sort of tickled my mind just a bit. When you say political cleansing, what do you refer to of that?
Okay, we have, and historically we heard of ethnic cleansing. So you have different tribes in Africa and so forth, who, because of the difference, they will try to annihilate one tribe over the other. What we have seen here, you have two major political parties in the country, NNP and NDC. NDC came into office, and on the heels of being elected, we saw a move of removing people from their jobs. And when you look at the dismissal letters, it spoke to people wearing party colors, in this case, NNP party colors, and people being supportive or probably went to a rally or some meeting of the NNP. Any government that embark upon this is on a drive or a quest to remove opposition from them. And that's what is political cleansing, to ensure that you remove any opposition that will probably stand up and be a threat to you.
Mr. Garraway, some folks would say this could be a norm of political parties when they do get into power. They will obviously give their supporters, opportunities in terms of getting to work and so forth. But it shouldn't be at the expense of folks who's already working. I mean, folks will come around and say, well, it was done during the new National Party tenure, and now it's done during the National Democratic Party tenure.
Well, you see, we have to just back a little. When the political leader of the NDC at the time, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, campaigned, his salient theme was transformation and to do things right and to unite the country and to do those wonderful things he said, which you would expect after an election campaign. There is a time for healing and to bring people together. So no one expected this, and the very young people who voted him into office didn't expect this, because this is not what was said to them. And the promise that was made is to ensure that they will be taken care of. As a matter of fact, those who are on contract will be permanent. So we are seeing this, and the time has come when we have to call it out. And it is wrong, and it's supposed to stop, and we have to fix it. And those people who have been disenfranchised should be reinstated, because competency, if you're competent in doing something and you're meeting the deliverables that has been presented on your job letter or whatever contract that you have, if you're meeting those deliverables, you shouldn't be fired. You shouldn't. This is a wicked act and should be stopped.
I mean, that's understandable from various point of view in terms of individuals being fired. Nobody likes that. Now, the new National Party, what's their take on the full labor relations that's going on in Grenada today?
Okay, so currently there are negotiations. I know the government negotiating team is meeting with the sectorial unions. So I'll leave this there for a while. I mean, they are in negotiations, and this is what happens ever so often. But we were presented with a letter that was issued to the young people as it relates to the paying of NIS. And there was a threat in it. The end of the letter speaks to you're expected to pay the NIS your contribution.
When you say young people, you talk about individuals who are part of the money and so forth like that?
Well, it came from the Ministry of Youth.
Ministry of Youth.
So clearly it is speaking to the young people.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we have no problem with the letter. But you said if you didn't pay your contribution, that will prevent you from having a renewal of the contract. But let's back up a little. Why is it that these contractees were asked to pay the NIS? This is nothing new. This came up into being since from 2014, and there's a reason for it. You may recall when the New National Party came into office in 2013, February of 2013. At the time, the country was unable to pay salaries to public officers. We had to sell assets to do this. We were unable to meet our obligations to the international community. We were unable to pay our debts. And a lot of basic supplies in the country were not met. As a matter of fact, the unpaid claims in the Treasury were over $100 million. So in some sense, the economy was financed on the backs of the public sector, the private sector. They provide service to the government, and government couldn't meet the requirement of paying them. So they were basically financing the government. When we came into office, we accepted that this position was untenable and we had to fix it. And we reached out to the international community to do just that. And the IMF and the World Bank agreed on a path with us towards restructuring the economy. And as we said, it's a homegrown structural adjustment program. And part of this was the reduction of the size of the public service. The public service at the time was around 8,600 in number. And what was presented to us, we can give you concessional financing and provide a period of retrenchment so people will take voluntary retrenchment and reduce it. And we said no. We will reduce the size of the public service by attrition, meaning with every 10 workers going on retirement, we will only hire 3 new people. And the common phrase came about 3 for 10. That was agreed to. We were able to, part of the benefit of reducing the size of the public service is the debt forgiveness. We got 50% a haircut on our national debt, which resulted into just over $400 million. Mind you, if we were to break or violate those agreements, that haircut, the debt can be restored in the country. So we understood this. We had to, as a government, be disciplined, and the contract for service came into being, where we couldn't increase our numbers. And mind you, people, yes, young people were hired, and the international community were not sleeping. They went to ensure that they look at the amount remunerated to the NIS and they balance it against the numbers of the NIS to ensure that we were not secretly, quietly increasing the numbers of the public service. Mm-hmm. So there was a balancing act. So where you have the employees on contract paying the NIS to ensure that your numbers do not increase, but they were paid by the government. So in the campaign, last campaign, I heard the political leader of the NDC at the time, who is now Prime Minister Honorable Glen, saying that we cannot have a parallel public service. So you want to done away with contract work. And in so doing, obviously, if you done away with contract and bring everybody in the establishment, it means, therefore, that you will have to pay the NIS for them. And we said, no, this cannot happen. And we gave the reasons, and all the information was there for Mr. Deacon Mitchell at the time. They were aware of the situation. But the young people of the country were hoodwinked into believing this was just NMP doing this because NMP don't care. And we will change this when we get into office, and we will bring everybody onto the establishment, and we will take care of all the necessaries. And I remember hearing one comment. I was elected, and Honorable Deacon Mitchell saying this, I was elected to govern people, not to manage debt. So he was sending a message, I guess, as much to the international community. But we know, and we said to the people, and we were very transparent with this. And that is one of the things of the New National Party. Sometimes we don't get credit for it, but we tell you as it is. We are very transparent. We said it to the young people. We said it to the nation, but the nation was told otherwise. Today, the very thing that we said, we've now seen it via a letter to the young people saying that you have to pay your NS. And as I said, this is nothing new. This was there all along. The question is, why did you promise them to give them this when you know it was not possible?
May I ask you this? Why do the New National think it's for some reason, for you so a simple term of saying this, not fear for the youth to be paying NIS? Everybody should be. Once you're part of the working class, you should be paying it. Would you agree with me with that?
Okay. Remember when the social program was introduced, it was to ensure that in your golden years, when you're no longer able to work, you will get back something from the contribution you would have made when you were young.
That's understandable.
So as a result of this, we all will agree that you have to pay NIS to protect yourself in the later days.
Yeah.
The issue here now is who should be paying it? Am I an individual contracted to provide a service to the government? Or am I a direct employee of the government, so the government is expected to make that remuneration for me? And for the reason that I explained before, just to protect the haircut that the government receive, just to ensure that we do not get ourselves saddled with over $400 million being reinstated on our heads as debt, we have to go the line. So it's one sacrifice. So we say to the young people, this is what is required to protect your job and to protect the growth and development of this country. And they're doing it.
All right.
The problem here, they were told otherwise. They were told, we're going to fix that, when they know it was not possible. So my question here, why did we deceive them?
All right. Let's take our first break in this segment, Mr. Garraway. We're coming right back, folks. Folks, it's To The Point for today, Tuesday. It's Opposition Tuesday here on To The Point. We're coming right back after the break.
Do you know, when you play the games of the National Lotteries Authority, you are supporting sports, culture, and nation building in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique?
Hi, I am Junior Murray, cricket coach, sports enthusiast, and a former West Indies cricketer. I endorse the games of the NLA 100%. For the past 40 years, the NLA has been funding many sporting activities, including competition for schools and clubs, and for athletes to participate in overseas tournaments such as the Carifta Games and regional cricket tournaments. Additionally, they made it possible for you, the public, to view local, regional, and international tournaments from the comfort of your homes. For those reasons, I play the game of the NLA. Even if I do not win, I know Grenada always wins.
Yes, when you play all the games, the NLA in turn supports sports, culture, and nation-building activities throughout the Tri-Island state.
Last week on All Climate Reality.
One of the major greenhouse gases are the fluorinated gases, the CFCs, or the chlorofluorocarbons, the hydrochlorofluorocarbons, and the hydrofluorocarbons. So we call them CFCs, HCFCs, and HFCs. These are essentially what we call fluorinated gases. And they make up about 2% of all greenhouse gases. In Grenada, we use them extensively in the refrigeration and air conditioning sector as refrigerants.
Welcome back to our listeners and our viewers this morning to The Point here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. Once again, good morning to my social media viewers and listeners out there. Welcome back. With us this morning, we have representing the New National Party, Labour Relations Officer, as Mr. Winston Garraway is with us this morning. And welcome back, Mr. Garraway. Now, we started off talking about labour issues here in Grenada, and the various opinions that are drawn in terms of labour issues here from the New National Party perspective. Now, we've been hearing about the various trade unions in Grenada, the various negotiations and so forth that are going on. What are some of the perspective, or what are some of the thoughts that the New National Party would like to share in pertaining to that, in relations to that, I should say?
Well, for one, the sectoral unions will come and will negotiate with the government for a period. Remember, in our time came and we had negotiations for the 4% for 3 years. Then we had the last one where there was as a result of the COVID, we were unable to pay at the time, but we said, rest assured that when we are in a position to pay, we'll ensure that you get all that which would have accrued and going forward. And that was fixed and everybody is okay. At this point in time, they're back around the table for another 3-year cycle, probably 3 or 4 year cycle. And I know there are numbers on the table as it relates to what the government can offer, or what the government is offering, and the union counter attack with what they think is fair and just at this point in time. And something that they brought to the fore as it relates to in February, we had an increase in the contribution to the NIS. So there is an extra 1% that has to be paid. And they're making sure that this is part of the negotiation. Yes, the cost of living has gone up, and they're ensuring that they cover that, but they also want to cover the 1% increase that the employees will have to ensure that they pay. We have to look at the young people who are on contract. They do not have primarily a union body representing them, negotiating for them. We want to reach out now and to say to the government, one, now that you ask them to pay the pension, the NSRE, and which you're right in doing so, you have to ensure that you find a mechanism to provide the employer's contribution to them, the 6% employer's contribution, you provide that to them. And so that they only have to come up with their portion, the 5%. The other thing to this, given that there is an increase in the contribution to the NIS, we're asking you to make good on this as well, to give them that increase so they will be able to provide that 1%. You cannot ask them to go the extra mile when we have seen the increase in the cost of living. So we have to reach out to them, and I'm appealing to the government in this instance to ensure that you provide this. How the trade unions are negotiating for their employees at this point in time, we are reaching out for the young people on contract that they will be provided at 1% so that they will make the additional increase to the NIS. We cannot leave them hanging there.
I was going to actually said this, but let's talk about the feasibility of this in terms of government being able to provide that extra percentage that the National Party is now suggesting that they provide. How feasible is that for government? We know how the world, how the financial aspects of the world is today. How feasible do you think that is for the government?
I want to flip it around then. How feasible it is for the government? How feasible do you think it is for the workers? They are the ones feeling the brunt of the pressure right now, with the increase in prices of goods on the shelves. Mm-hmm. And if they're not in a position to do this, and they have to make that contribution to the NIS, we're putting them back. We're putting them way back. So we have to find a way, and the government is there to find in ways to cushion in the effect and to mitigate against further increases. We have to find a way to provide for the young people. Bearing in mind that, yes, there are challenges out there. I agree with this. But when we look at the increases government give to themselves, 1% is not a big amount compared to their increase to give to the young people. We expect them to find a way to do it for them. We have to champion the cause of the young people. And this is one cause we're championing. Find a way to provide the support for them to meet that additional expense to the NIS.
We're facing a lot of our conversation this morning goes along the labor relations and so forth in terms of what you represent. You would be the officer for the New National Party. The MNIB comes into play into this in terms of labor. Individuals now going to be, yes, they're going to be compensated for their years of work and so forth with a new plan in terms of reorganizing the MNIB. Now, what's the New National Party take? And you being the labor relations officer in terms of the employees, some of them, depending on what they're going to be receiving and so forth. What's the New National Party take on that?
Well, clearly, Mr. Telesford, no one will be happy with seeing over 90 plus workers going home. These families, these workers have families and they have commitments. You want to ensure that you put them not in a worse of position. I know it is said, yes, they will be provide severance pay and so forth. That is a fixed amount. This is totally different to every month you are short of a paycheck. If they have commitment with the bank at the moment or the credit union and so forth, that full amount, that severance will not be able, in a lot of cases, to take them through. So we think there could have been a other way. And from the consultation that was had or held, there were some suggestions and workable suggestions as to how you can restructure the marketing board to bring it close to what was anticipated or envisioned when it was established, rather than shutting it down and putting these workers on the breadline.
So is the new National Party for or against a public-private partnership?
No, we're not against a public-private partnership. You can do this while restructuring the enterprise. You don't have to shut it down to do this. You can invite investors to come in and partner with you and to create the entity that you envisioned. And at the same time, you protect the farmers, you protect the employees, and of course, you protect the market that we have. At this point in time, you're shutting it down. And to come up with something new, we're saying there are alternatives on the table that could have been looked at. And I listened to people from the consultation, and they're saying, you came to us. First of all, you made a blanket statement that you're going to shut this down. And then you had the consultation. And from the consultation, you went back to exactly what you said before. So it was a sham. In their view, you were not concerned about listening to the views of the people. You just take them for a ride. We believe the new entity that you're talking about can be organized within the structure of the current structure of the marketing board without having to fire these workers.
Now, it's a slight diversion into our conversation line. Now, exporting of mangoes. What's the how does the opposition welcome this initiative?
Well, this was done on our period. So all the negotiations and so forth would have been done under the new National Party. And I will want to give the former Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Peter David, kudos for this. He was there in ensuring this. So it is, what do you want to say to the government? You are there to implement and to make it happen. Let's ensure that we do all that it takes to preserve the sanctity of this and to ensure that we do not lose that sort of preferential treatment that we have at this moment. That's what I want to say, and that's what the party want to say. Kudos to the government for seeing it through.
All right. Let's take another break. We're coming right back with more questions for you, Mr. Garraway. It's To The Point for today, Tuesday, the 28th day of February. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
Last week on All Climate Reality.
One of the major greenhouse gases are the fluorinated gases, the CFCs, or the chlorofluorocarbons, the hydrochlorofluorocarbons, and the hydrofluorocarbons. So we call them CFCs, HCFCs, and HFCs. These are essentially what we call fluorinated gases. And they make up about 2% of all greenhouse gases. In Grenada, we use them extensively in the refrigeration and air conditioning sector as refrigerants that keep our atmosphere cool and refrigerate our commodities. These gases, if we allow them to be continued to be used as they are now, can have significant implications for our environment through emissions and the contributions they make towards global warming.
The solar systems are one of the lowest costs and the highest benefit bankable ways you can reduce your energy footprint, reduce your carbon footprint.
Join us this Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. as our panel discuss agriculture and climate change. Our Climate Reality on GBN TV channel 7 and 11, K105 FM, and all our social media platforms. Compliments Republic Bank Limited, Hubbard's, and Classic Lighting.
You mentioned the wing high, then you have things like Manumos, Cross Combat, We have the low folder.
It is kind of like the same man, and it's just different name for the same kind of thing.
And last but not least, I just want to say to all the men who saw me, call me, and ask for a piece of cake. I'm baking this weekend.
Join us Fridays at 8 on GBN Television, K105 FM, GBN's Facebook page, and YouTube channel for We Culture.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. Good morning once again. It's To The Point for today, Tuesday, the 28th day. We have Mr. Winston Garraway with us this morning. He's the opposition's labor relations officer. And we're talking lots of different issues this morning. And in this segment, Mr. Garraway, I want to get into social development, social issues here in the Spice Isle. What are the opposition's take on in terms of social development in Grenada right now?
Well, thanks again. The biggest issue, I think, at this moment, and we heard it loud and clear from the senior citizens, is the removal of the $150 from the seed program. And when you think about it, this is a tough one to take, given that the expectation that was given to the recipient that the government will continue with the program. And that was said by the Minister of Social Development during the budget debate. But what we have seen, that $150 were removed, and folks were saying, well, it was budgeted to be removed after a year.
But government did give an explanation why it was discontinued. They would say it was not budgeted, it should have wrapped up at the end of December.
But yeah, that is true. You can only budget for 1 year.
Yes.
So the thing about it is you budget for it a succeeding year. But let's take this into context. When this was introduced, it was to a reaction or to mitigate against the high cost of living and the increase in prices on the shelves. And the government, the NMP, took a conscious decision to ensure that you provide that sort of support for senior people and the most vulnerable in the population, to be exact. So that is the case. But remember, when the Minister of Social Development said in the budget debate in December, we will continue with the vertical and horizontal expansion of the seed program. You created that expectation because the people knew, okay, yeah, it was going to end in December, but we will continue with it. To remove it then was a callous decision. And there's a lot of mourning out there. A lot of people are mourning in the country because they are not able to meet the needs. The prices of food still continue to go up. And as I've said, when it was first introduced, thing was tight. Today it is tighter for these people because the cost of living went up again. So, as a government who pride itself on love and care, and with a heart of concern for people, we were expecting them to continue with this. But as I said, I listened to the cries and the groans of people out there who are faced with this reality. There's a portion of scripture in Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. And it states, when the righteous are in authority or righteous rules, the people rejoice. When the wicked or the unrighteous rules, the people mourn. Lots of people are mourning in this country today because of the removal of this 150. And I'm making a clarion call to the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister of this country to provide that support for the the senior people of the country who are finding it hard to make do without it. This decision, it's my view, has reverted hundreds, probably thousands of people into poverty. And let me just give you the reason why I put this way. I recall in 2006, 2007, the poverty rate in the country was 36%, just a little over 36%. When the next report came, 2009 to 2010, it was 37%, 37.6% I think it was. And St. Patrick's became the poorest parish in the country. I look at a report, I should say, Mala Dukaran, economist in the region, was presenting at a World Bank Economic Forum in this month. And she provided the report, poverty reports for the region. And in 2018-2019, Grenada's poverty report was 24.8%, almost 13 points down from what it was in the report 2009-2010. It means, therefore, that a new national party would have moved thousands of people from the poverty line. Thousands, to bring it from 37.6 to 24.8%. This removal of the $150 from the poor and vulnerable of this country, in my view, that thousands of Grenadians have been placed back into poverty. And when we recall, political leader of the NDC at the time, who is now Prime Minister, Honorable Glen Mitchell, in the campaign said, the World Bank report states that if you earn less than $650, you're poor. We have done everything that we could have done to reduce poverty and to bring those vulnerable people up by giving them the $150 more to ensure that they're able to cushion the effects of the high cost of living. And now you're going to remove it from them? This has been a wicked act on the poor and vulnerable of the country. And I want to call on the Prime Minister this morning, sir, reinstate that $150 to the poor and vulnerable of the country. There's another point to this. There are people from the seed farm, within the seed program, we provide also support for children to go to school and the necessaries. Because we do agree to the surest and fastest way to remove people from poverty is providing them an opportunity of education. Give them education. And by removing this money, some students will not be able to go to school as they're supposed to, or probably have the means to go to school with being properly nourished. We are calling, as a party, we're calling on the government to reinstate the $150 to the people who need it the most. Reinstate it to them.
Let me ask this. I mean, there's a lot of talk about $150, the poverty that it is causing individual. What serious stats does the new National Party have that it's really affecting individuals?
Okay, so I said of the Mala Dukaran report to the World Bank Forum. Let me just pull up that report, and we can probably see what it says here.
No, I just asked that to find out.
Yeah,
you know,
because
how serious is it? And yes, $150. There are a lot of folks who may have needed that extra $150, but has it really caused a serious impact on individuals?
Of course. Let's just go back and look at what the Mr. Honorable Glen Mitchell said in the campaign. If you're earning $650, less than $650, you are poor. And you're telling me right now, you have removed, so some of them are getting probably around 600, maybe a little more. And with the little support they get from family and friends out there, they will bring them over $650. So when you do the analysis of this, the survey, you will see how much the movement away from poverty, as I've said to you, from 37% to 24.8% as a poverty rate in the country between 2018 and 2019. It means a lot of people have moved from this. And this was a conscious effort by the new National Party. Now, taking away that income from them, they're under the poverty line, the same figure that was provided by Honorable Glen Mitchell. So it means, therefore, that those families who are now losing this amount will not be in a position to provide the basic necessities for their family. And they will be classified as poor. So when the report is out, you will have the empirical data to show it's not there yet. But you can just, from the mere fact that that was removed and they fall under the $650 per month, they are poor. And that is what was reported by Honorable Glen Mitchell. And we were saying to protect these families, reinstate the money. And as I said, the Massey Dukaran report, and Grenada's figures is better than some of our illustrious brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. And you may have heard over the years that Grenada is the poorest in the region. That's not true. Or probably second to Haiti. That's not true. I wouldn't call names here, but I'm going to tell you, we are better off than some economies that is bigger than us. And because the new National Party administration under Dr. Keith Mitchell made a conscious effort to move people, to graduate them away from poverty. And I said we do this via two means. Provide education, provide the means to take children to school, to let them have the nourishment so that they can learn. And two, provide the support for our people to make the accommodation more comfortable, provide the move away from the pit latrine into toilet inside and bathroom inside. Those are the things we did to empower our senior citizens to make them feel comfortable. As we've said, they have contributed immensely to the building of this country. And in the golden years, if there's one thing we can do, is to ensure that they have the comfort that is necessary to take them through this last period. And we call on the government to do this for them. Reinstated $150.
Well, we have dealt a lot into the social issues, the social development. We have spoke on labor issues, youth. You question, the reason for the NIS being deducted from the young people. Joblessness in Grenada. If is becoming a concern, they are saying that a lot of people are becoming unemployed. What's the new National Party take on that?
Well, we said very early that the wanton firing of people who are perceived to be supporters of the new National Party is wrong. But at the same time, we left an economy where the construction industry was booming. So quite a lot of our young people were employed in this area. We also had our safety net programs. So the bushing program was one of those safety net programs that there are people who look forward to the various contracts per year to do the bushing. We have seen a drastic reduction in this, so a lot of people were not able to spend. Hence the reason why Christmas wasn't the Christmas that we knew it to be years before. A lot of people said tongue was like ghost tongue in the sense that people didn't have the spending power, because most of the people who spend are those who would have gotten the contract on the road, the bushing and so forth. So that was removed. So we have some people there that is hurting, and you're hearing the cry out there, and people crying openly on social media, and you realize the pain is excruciating, and we need to help them there. We are also concerned in the sense that we spoke of the Mackinnon boat, so over 90 workers will be severed. That will be over 90 probably families. And if each worker represents 4 in a family, we're talking about 300 and at least just a little more than 360 people who will be affected. That is significant. So it is the responsibility of the government, as I've said before, to create the enabling environment that economic development can take place. You can grow the economy. And when you do so if you expand the economy, you have construction on the go, agriculture on the go, the tourism industry moving. That in itself will translate into people being employed. But if we've seen a contraction in these areas, it will be very difficult for the ordinary man in this country. And we want to encourage the government to do nothing to jeopardize the sound footing that we have left. So we will encourage that they continue with the programs so that the country and the people of the country can excel.
All right. Let's just move along with the subject line and get into the subject matters as we move along this morning. Our final 15 minutes left on today's show. Tell me, let's get into some conversation pertaining to the new National Party. Is the new National Party convention scheduled for any time soon?
Okay, well, let us explain this. The constitution of the new National Party speaks to 2 general councils and 1 convention annually. Mm-hmm. The last convention we had was February of 2022. We didn't have any general councils. So rightfully, you would say the first thing that we should have this year is a general council. Mm-hmm. And if I heard one commentator saying, well, the convention we had in February of 22 was for 21. Well, if that's the case, we didn't have general councils, we didn't have convention in 21. It means, therefore, that we're behind with 2 general councils. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I expect to happen, and the executive of the party will decide that, the first thing I believe will happen is to have a general council. And after that, we'll look to probably having a convention. But the first thing is not a convention. Based on the constitution, mm-hmm. It cannot be a convention.
So not until you have a general council, then we think about a convention.
Well, yeah, general council usually prepare the way for the convention, because you have to put the party organs in place. And I'm not sure we have all the organs up and running at this point in time. And it's only delegates can vote in an election. And there is a process that would have to take us to that. So I am expecting right now, all 15 constituencies are working towards ensuring that they have the delegates in place, but most importantly, to put the organs in motion, so then you come to a general council and you report and say you have these and these, based on what the constitution say is in place. That now will create the environment for convention.
No, there's also a lot of talk on the ground pertaining to leadership within the new National Party.
Okay.
In terms, when I say leadership, in terms of Dr. Mitchell, his length of stay, is there any talk or rift within the party that is saying that is there a way that's saying, well, it's time that a new leader be selected? Is there any rift within the new National Party of conversation of that nature?
No, there's no rift within the party. We have to remember clearly, Dr. Mitchell said when he was sworn in as the opposition leader that it is not his view and not his intention to continue. But he looked forward to the next convention, mm-hmm. for a successor to be elected. Yeah. And he said, I will be there. I will be parliamentary representative for the 5 years I was elected. So I'll remain parliamentary representative for St. George Northwest. He also said that based on who emerged as the new political leader, he may even probably step down from being opposition leader. Mm-hmm. He also said so. So this is what is out there in the public domain. He said that he will move when that time comes around. He, as far as I know, he didn't make a public statement saying he has changed his mind. So what is on the table at this point in time is that at the next convention, we're likely to see a new person being elected as political leader of the party. But until then, he's functioning as the political leader. He's doing what the Constitution asks of him to do. And as far as I'm concerned, we are moving in the direction, and the team is working towards ensuring that the party remains strong and stable. And remember, and I'm hearing it out there, the people calling for the NNP to continue to remain strong because they're saying this is the only hope. And yesterday when I was walking through St. George, and people just bombarded me with a lot of comments, positive comments towards the NNP. But you're hearing people saying, when Dr. Mitchell was there, salaries would have been paid Friday. This would have happened, and you're hearing this. So people are saying, NNP, just keep your house in order and make sure you're ready because we're calling on you soon.
Don't tell me, has there had any conversation going around in terms of a successor for the near future for the party?
Well, yes, there has been the discussion of who could possibly emerge. this is not my place to say who's going to be the next person who will emerge as the political leader of the party. But the discussion is on the table. You have people talking about it. And I look forward to when the time comes, because I will have to cast my vote, and I will do so when the time comes.
Right. We will take a break here, and in the next segment, folks, we will encourage your phone calls. You may have a question or two you may like to ask, of course, Mr. Garraway, and I'm certainly sure he will be able to answer you. We're coming right back after the break, and we take your phone calls after the break. We're coming right back.
Feel good facts. Help prevent cold and flu by washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. That's the time it takes to remove most germs. No soap and water? No worries when you've got alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with
Hey, welcome back, listeners and viewers. To the point for today, Tuesday, the 20th of February, is Opposition Tuesday here on To the Point, and we have Mr. Winston Garraway with us this morning, and he's the Labor Relations Officer within the new National Party. We're taking your phone calls. It's 435-2041, 435-2041. If you do have a question you'd like to ask him, certainly we'll be able to answer you. Let's go to the phone line and take this caller. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, GT, and how you do?
I am doing well. What about you this morning?
I'm very well.
All right. Go right ahead with your question.
Garraway, good morning. What I want to ask Mr. Garraway is just one or two questions. Mr. Garraway, you said that the NDC party responsible for the people under the poverty line because the removal of the 150. Now, Mr. Garraway, you and I know that it was stated it was a political strategy of the 150, and after the election, you all thought you was going to win, remove it. But, Mr. Garraway, hear this. After the Ivan, you're talking about poverty level high in Grenada today, for going on over 40-odd years. After the revolution, the NNP, and so forth, most of the time of the years that the NNP rules, and the people was getting $100, $50, so and so forth. What would you say, or who would you say responsible, really and truly, for the senior citizen being in poverty? Let me explain to you. If you said this government could find a way or should find a way to do certain things, couldn't you all, or didn't you have the voice at the time to say, let us find a way to increase the senior citizen wage, or how you call it, poor relief, $25 per year. So by now, they would have been over $1,000. So, Mr. Garraway, the truth is the NNP government what have the poor people in poverty. Yes, I agree with the 150 removal, and the Prime Minister going to put more than that on it when he thought out himself. But if you are the NNP, take it as it is, that you all have the people. Look at the condition the seniors living in. You're talking about bathroom and toilet. Mr. Garraway should be shamed. Look at how much years that you all did, and the people don't have it. How is only no? Mr. Garraway, you see, have you taken a walk into some of the nursing homes? Mr. Garraway, they don't even have a place to put a chair to bathe. Have you seen the condition? Were you concerned then, or you only concerned about yourself now? You're talking about the relief, the people that laid off, Mr. Garraway. If the people was prominent for 20 years, how could any party remove them? Mr. Garraway, repent and stop using the word of God convenient. Can you leave off at $300 per year? Such your soul and your heart. Bye-bye.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution. I'm not sure if you want to respond.
Of course, I just want to thank her for her exuberance, and she wants to make a point, which she did. But I just want to correct her on a few points here. One, the removal of first of all, the poor relief to people started out with by $50. They were getting $50 way back from the Providence Fund. And the NMP decided we're going to move that forward and move from 50 to 100. And I remember in 2008 campaign by the NDC said to the senior citizen, what was 150? What is $150? We're going to make it $400. And they said, so they're going to make it 400. And mind you, they didn't make it 400. They made it 200. They were only $50 after they got pressure. But in giving the $50, ma'am, they removed thousands. And I remember calling the program and challenged the Minister of Social Development then. And the minister was honorable enough to come back and respond to my concerns and say, yes, they removed people from the list, but it was not 2,000 as I claimed. It was probably around 15. And I went back and I did the numbers, and I said, based on what you budget, you had to remove over 2,000. So, ma'am, it is not right with what you said. Probably that's the information you have, but I'm telling you, it's wrong. Secondly, we didn't just start in this campaign with home improvement. No, this was the sense from 2014. We provided small loans to families through the housing authority to upgrade their homes, but we also gave grants to needy families to build bathroom and toilet because we wanted to move away from the pit toilets. And in the 2018 period, we went a step further by employing a group of men that we call the Bathroom and Toilet Brigade. And they went about, when we provided the relief in terms of the material, we contracted these men and women to build the bathroom and the toilet for the people. So we ensured that our senior citizens were taken care of. Right now, some of them are receiving $400, $450. You remove the $150 from them, that is a wicked act. And that is what I'm saying. People are mourning because of the word of God says in Proverbs chapter 29 and 2, when the wicked are in authority, people mourn. So I'm saying to you, you should reach out to the Prime Minister and say to him, stop the mourning. Reinstate the $150 to the people.
Let's take another caller, and it may be our final caller for this morning. We only have just about 2 more minutes left of the show. Let's go to the line. Phone line, good morning to you, caller.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for giving me the last over. There's so many things I'd like to challenge Mr. Garraway on this morning, but I'll resort to two, Mr. Garraway. You seem to be very much confused when you say, quote unquote, that political cleansing is partisan victimization. If you cleanse the political sphere, that can only be a good thing for the country, sir. That is not victimization. Victimization does it, but they're two different things. Words only belong to their context, finally. You said to the people of this country a while ago, and your words, we, quote unquote, we have done what we could have done, ... Mr. Garraway. If you could have done something, you didn't do it. That's the language. How could you have done it and you didn't do it? How do you explain that, Mr. Garraway? Think of what I'm telling you and learn some things for Christ's sake. Have a nice day, will you?
Thank you also, caller, for your contribution. You want to respond to the caller and make some closing comments? We take a wrap for today?
Well, okay, if it's closing comments, the caller has always been one who tried to bully me when I come on this program. And the bottom line is, and as we've seen here, the people who were removed from employment in Carriacou, and based on the letter, and perceived political affiliation, that in itself, yes, was victimization, but cleansing of the perceived NNPs from the ministries. That was the issue here. Get them out. And the second thing is, and you know, we did, and on record, the NNP on record has been the party that did the most in terms of moving people from poverty. And the stats I gave you, you can go and look at it. maladukaram.com. I think that's www.maladukaram. That's our website. Or you could just probably type in her name. And you can follow her. I'm a subscriber to her monthly report. And you will see the information that I presented as it relates to the stats on poverty. We have done the most in this country to remove people from poverty. And I'm talking about we as the New National Party. And that is a known fact, cannot be disputed. Of course, you could say what you want. But here is the issue. Grenada thrived well under an NNP government. The people of this country thrived well under NNP government. And today we're hearing people saying, well, yes, it was a young man, so we gave him a try. And we said to folks, this is not a game. The ruling of the country is not a game. You could either do it and do it well, or you do not have the wherewithal to do it. And people are coming back and say, yes, we give a try, and the try, or the chance we have given, is coming back to bite us. I want to leave by saying, GT, this is our home. Grenada is our home. We all have a vested interest in the future development of this country. And by so saying, it means that we ought to provide support for the development of the entire country and our young people. This is a period of governance, not politicking and campaigning. I came here to present some facts and to lobby and to ask the government to have a heart and to provide support for the people who need it the most. There's going to come a time again when we will be on the campaign. This is not the period now. Yes, you may want to defend, but you cannot defend removing $150 from the people who need it the most. And you leave them in abject poverty and struggling. You cannot defend taking away the jobs of people who you perceive to be NNPIs, not because of lack of competence, but because of the perceived political affiliation. The time has come when we, as a people, need to recognize that this is our home. And whatever we do and say have its way of affecting all of us. It's my hope that the government will provide that support to the young people whom they have issued the letters to as it relates to paying the NIS. Yes, I agree. They will have to pay it for the reasons that I presented before as it relates to protecting the haircuts, the debt forgiveness that we have received. But at the same time, ensure that these young people get the requisite support as it relates to paying the employer's contribution and the 1% increase for NS, as we have seen started from February this year. If we're going to do this, it means that we were taking people along with us and helping them to move from point A to point B in a positive direction. This is our responsibility. And as leaders and as a New National Party, we'll continue to advocate for the betterment of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
All right, Mr. Guy, I want to thank you for being here this morning. It's a pleasure having you. Hope we can have you back sometime again. I want to thank all our viewers and listeners this morning. Thanks for being part of To The Point for today. Join me again tomorrow for another edition of To The Point. Have yourself a great day, folks. This is where we say goodbye for today's program.